thank the City Council Committee on Community Development for trying to be supportive of co-ops. It's wonderful. I'm from the Park Slope Food Co-op in Brooklyn, New York. We're a worker cooperative. We're a consumer cooperative. And I was invited to testify, so I decided to do it, even though we didn't exactly fit the prescription. I was in the overflow room, so I don't know, maybe this was already pointed out, but the New York State Cooperative Corporation Law, in Article 1, Declaration of Policy, it says it is the declaration as one means of improving the economic welfare of its people, I'm paraphrasing here, to encourage their effective associations for the rendering of mutual help and service. So I'm not sure that there's a lot of awareness even in the state legislature of that, but that co-ops aren't discriminated against and treated. I mean, it's the policy of the state to encourage. I really applaud all the worker cooperatives that are here, and I think it's a fantastic thing that what's going on here. But if there's help being given to other types of businesses, there should not be discrimination against cooperatives. And from what I've heard here, there is definitely discrimination against cooperatives. And so when my co-op incorporated, it was in the 1970s, the New York State Cooperative Corporation Law did not have anything for worker cooperatives in it. But I think it was in the 80s, but maybe it was in the 90s, where there's a whole section for worker cooperatives that were added to the New York State. So I would encourage everybody to, if you're not aware of that, to read that. The law probably could be rewritten to make it even better. As a cooperative from a different sector, the consumer cooperative sector, I just want to say that cooperatives should be supportive of each other. So one of the things we've done in our newsletter is when there's a worker cooperative, for example, the worker cooperatives, Si Se Puede, in articles in our newsletter about the cooperative. I hope they've been helpful, because we have 16,000 members and we try and do that. Take any more time. I know we're running out of time, so that's it.
Thank you. I'll try and be brief here. I'm the co-director of New Economy Project, and we work with community groups to fight for
your name.
Zinner. With New Economy Project, we work with community groups to fight for economic justice, for the creation of alternative economic institutions like worker cooperatives, community land trusts, and community-owned financial institutions that are based on principles of cooperation, economic democracy, and racial justice. We're also launching a new economy to provide loans and investments to worker cooperatives by and for low-income New Yorkers, and we're really dedicated as a model of economic democracy and neighborhood-based worker control. As a of economic justice issues, we see it very importantly to fight for alternatives on the flip side, and we think that the city can follow this model as well, that the city can really play a leading role as an alternative to some of the economic injustices that we're in, with low wages, with income inequality and poverty, and that worker co-ops are really a tremendous opportunity. For one is that they will provide vital assistance to low-income and economically, but also that they'll represent really a demonstrated model of workplace democracy through work. Can really seed, as people are talking about today, a growing network of worker cooperatives basis for economic and racial justice in New York, and make New York City a leader. I just want to add, they're really, I would read all of the The policy prescriptives, just to emphasize that New York City should prioritize worker co-ops in its economic development policies as a creation tool, but also to strengthen neighborhood-based economies. The city should provide financial and technical assistance to support and cultivate worker co-ops as a major economic sector, and this includes working to incubate and sustain worker co-ops at the neighborhood level. The city should provide capital for startups, but for all worker cooperatives, and should prioritize worker cooperatives as preferred contractor agencies. Finally, the city should consider creating a special office of cooperative economics to focus city resources, policies, and programs on alternative economic institutions such as worker cooperatives that are democratically and that address racial and wealth inequality. This would include also linking worker cooperatives to financial co-ops, community land trusts, and other cooperative economic models, and that this will again have a in New York and also allow New York to be a leader in creating alternative economic institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. This is only 3, so that's okay.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Evan Casper-Futterman. I'm with been in past lives research fellow with the U.S. Federation of Worker Cooperatives, as well as an intern in the White House Office of Urban Affairs within the Domestic Policy Council. SolidarityNYC is an all-volunteer collective founded in 2009 whose mission is to connect, support, and promote solidarity economies in New York City. We use the term solidarity economies to mean activities and institutions that are guided by social justice, mutualism, ecological sustainability, and democracy. Of course, worker cooperatives are a part of this. Back for a second, we want to advise, of course, that as you enter this space, you'll hear, and I think it's important for this as what's called or worker cooperatives and cooperatives in general being part of the new economy. But of course, New York City and in the United States, these practices are anything but new. They've existed for generations, as Omar alluded to. They've been a part of the civil rights movement. Having a rich history that I imagine exists in all of your districts, including credit unions, co-op housing, cooperative businesses, and even the city operates a time. And so all of these incorporate these values that we're talking about and show that these values are at work from past to present. And we thank you for helping us continue this work in the tradition in New York City. My testimony submitted to you speaks to 3 2. The first is the importance of mapping, and we think of mapping as basically a principle of taking a census, and we say, here we are, these are our numbers, let us know what we have in our assets that exist in the city. SolidarityNYC in 2009 has attempted to comprehensive or scientific, but alludes to mapping projects that exist throughout the world, in particular where also participatory budgeting originated, to map this and make the public service of mapping these sectors and these activities so that people are able to understand that they exist, first of all, as a public service, but also for them to interact with government and exist and grow together. I wanted to make a special point to stress something that's been discussed briefly but also overlooked in general. The vital importance of education in the growth of cooperative economies. Before the business of Mondragon was incubated, Father Arizmendi, the man of faith who originated the movement in the sector in the Basque region of Spain, operated community learning centers and study groups for 15 years. Community around that in the Basque community. So just to stress the importance of acting with academies such as Omar's, really to build the understanding of democratic decision-making and understanding the value of cooperative businesses, but also to make them profitable and grow the capacity from a community development standpoint, that profitable intimately linked with the ability to understand and build an educational goes from cradle to cradle for both community and economic development purposes. So thank you very much for inviting our testimony today.
Thank you for your testimony. I'm sorry I missed part of your testimony, but we have your and as I've said from the beginning of the hearing, this will be an ongoing conversation, and in the loop, nugget of wisdom here to provide to us will be included in that ongoing conversation. So thank you for taking the time, waiting as long as you have, and for giving us your testimony. Okay. Our next panel, individuals that are close to home and dear to my heart. Anthony Wynn, Nos Quedamos. Mothers on the Move. Kelly Terry, The Point Community Development Corporation. He's not. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to on the panel. Is Kelly here? Okay. So we're with Melissa Risen, CUNY Law, CDC. Melissa? Hi. Morgan, North American Students of Cooperation. That's you. Peter, also from CUNY. Professor, is he here? And Scott. Okay, so I'm going to go through the first name. Melissa, Morgan, Peter, that's you, and Scott. Where's Scott? Hi. Come around the other side. Anthony, share the space. Okay, so we'll add them to the other panels if they show up. To one more panel. Okay. Oh, Wanda didn't answer. I understand that, but we'll call him up. We'll call him up again. Okay, lady and gentlemen. You'll cooperate.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Thank you for being here. Begin when you're ready. Speak into the mic. Try not to handle that mic too much because it's making a lot of noise. So, Sergeant, can we just turn it off and they can share? Yes.
This one.
That one, yeah. It's really getting on my nerves. I'm sorry.